Hello, I'm Faberistry, and in this video I'm going to be spending 100 days in Minecraft Hardcore mode. However, I'm going to be starting out on a jungle island. Also, for those of you who do not know what Hardcore mode is, it is a Java only mode which gives you only one life and all the mobs are much harder to kill. So without any further ado, don't forget to like that smash button as well as subscribing, and let's begin. Day 1, I started out by mining a tree, and then because I could see a shipwreck off in the corner, I made a boat and headed over to it. And once there, I looted the treasure chest as well as the other chests. However, there wasn't too much loot, as one iron and a bit of lapis is not going to do much help right now. But the enchanted leather armor is a great start, and the emeralds will come in handy in the future. And then after looting the shipwreck, I went back to the mainland to start out with some mining. First of all, I mined some coal so that I could have some torches. Then I had a staircase going all the way down to Y level 12 so that I could start looking for some iron, as well as a chance to find some diamonds. So for the rest of day 1, I strip mined until I found a cave, at which point I just started mining a lot of iron, until at the end of day 1, I had full iron apart from the leggings, because I did not read the enchantments and did not see that it had Curse of Binding. Well, as a result of that, I'm going to have to be wearing these leggings until they break. And now on to day 2. To begin with, I spent the first half of the day just mining, because I needed more coal as well as more iron, as these two resources are really helpful at the start of the game, and it's always a good idea to have excess of these starter materials. Also, while exploring the cave, I even came across some lapis, and with that small mining trip over, it was time to re-emerge to the surface, place down a chest, and then place down all the items from the mining expedition inside that chest, and go foraging around the area. And the goal of this foraging expedition was to get more melons so that I could create a small melon farm, some sugarcane so that I could create a sugarcane farm, and some various other blocks as well. And while exploring the area, I even found a jungle temple. So I went inside and looted the chests, and the loot from the jungle temple was amazing, as that was what I was mining for earlier in the day. And once I returned from my foraging trip, I created a small melon farm, as this will be my food source for the rest of the 100 days in Hardcore. On day 3, I spent the entire time just mining some trees. And by the end of day 3, I had quite a fair amount of jungle logs considering I was using an unenchanted iron axe. By the 4th day, I decided that I wanted to create a starter base. And using this cove area at the end of the lake that I was in, I created this starter base. I used barrels embedded into the walls for storage, as well as some furnaces embedded into the sides of the stone walls. I had some lanterns hanging down with some lights, and I created a small bridge using some jungle trapdoors, connecting the two sides of the lake right at the end. I also added a few path blocks around the central tree. On day 5, I wanted to focus on improving some of the infrastructure around my base. For example, to start off with the day, I created a mine and also made it look quite nice at the top, going all the way down to diamond level. And for the rest of the day, I went looking for some cows. However, I couldn't find any in the nearby islands, so it ended up being quite an adventure going around quite a large area, until eventually I found one in the spruce biome, and I brought it back to my base. However, since I didn't have 2 at the time, I just left it outside the bridge that I made, so that when I had 2, I could put them in an enclosure and breed them up to get lots of leather. In day 6, I went mining, and while mining, I found the first diamonds on this 100-day world. I found 4 to be exact. And then after finding these 4, I found a massive underwater cave, which I explored for the rest of the day, hoping to find more diamonds. However, I did not find any. On day 7, I created an area for my cows, but I need to get another cow because at the moment I only had 1. To get this second cow, I went back to the taiga biome because the other cow that spawned with the current cow that I have would not have despawned, because passive mobs do not despawn. Also, when I got back to my main base, I had to plant some wheat, as that's what you need to breed cows. So that's why I created a small wheat farm. In day 8, there wasn't too much to do. I just went mining until I found veins of diamonds, but I left those veins of diamonds because I wanted to keep them until I had Fortune 3, when I could get even more diamonds from those veins. I also bred the cows to get a few more cows. And in day 9, I finally created an enchantment table. Now I can enchant things. To start off with, I enchanted my sword, and I got sharpness 1. Then I enchanted all my pickaxes, and I got unbreaking and efficiency on them, and some even had both. Then after that, I enchanted my axe, and I got unbreaking 2 and efficiency 2. Then after that I enchanted my third and final iron pickaxe. And finally I enchanted my iron shovel. And while these enchants might not look the greatest, do bear in mind these are without any bookshelves. And these minimal enchantments can really help the gameplay progress, as it allows you to mine quicker and kill mobs faster. In day 10 I spent the whole day mining. And while mining, I decided that I wanted to create some diamond tools. So I mined 6 of the diamonds I found, but left the rest so that I could come back and fortune them later. In day 11, I wanted to get a few more XP levels, so I went out to kill some mobs. And throughout killing all these mobs, there was not even a time where I was even close to dying. In day 12, there wasn't too much to do, as I had to wait for the crops to grow before I could breed more cows. So I spent the entire day placing torches around my base so that it was a lot more brighter, as well as exploring the area around my base. On day 13, I decided I want to venture a bit further away from my main jungle island, so I went on an adventure to explore the nearby areas. And then day 14 begins. To start off with the day, I tamed a parrot, and it was a lime parrot, which is great because lime is my favourite colour. And after taming this parrot, I realised I needed a few more resources, like dirt and stone. So I started by destroying a small island. However, even this small island took more than just one day. It took the entirety of day 15, and in day 16 I spent most of my time finishing off destroying the island. And after I did that, I sorted out all the materials in the barrels in my starter base. I also expanded my wheat farm. To start off with, on day 17 I killed half of all the cows so that I could get some more bookshelves. And then after that, I created a platform so that I could start building on my base. On day 18, I expanded my wheat farm even more, as well as placing some leaves on the platform so that it fit in more with the jungle, and it looked like the jungle was interweaved with the platform. In day 19, I expanded my sugarcane farm, and then I went mining for quite a while. I even found another diamond vein. In day 20, I added the cliff face to the start of my base, just underneath the platform I made on day 18. Then in day 21, I continued to expand my wheat farm. In day 22, I finished off the platform, adding more stone and more dirt to it, as well as starting the creation of the marina just behind this platform. In day 23, I had level 28 enchants. So I enchanted my diamond axe, and I got quite a few additional enchants from the enchantment table. In day 24, I used my newly enchanted diamond axe to get a load of spruce wood so that I could use that to finish off building the marina. And after that, I realised I had a few more levels left, so I enchanted my diamond shovel. And for day 25 to 26, I wanted to get a few more XP levels, so I went around killing any mobs during the night and fish during the day. And while the fish might look like there's plenty of them, they barely give any XP, so it still took me a really long time to get to level 30, and I would highly not recommend doing this for any form of XP. Then in day 27, I spent the time going back to my base, and then I enchanted my pickaxe. I hoped to get fortune as an additional enchant, however I ended up with just an Unbreaking 3 diamond pickaxe. Then for days 28 and 29, I built the start of my base. As the way I intend for my base to be is to have this main building, and then it has a stairway going up to a treehouse, and that treehouse would have connections going to even more treehouses. In day 30, I spent the entire time chopping down trees and then using these trees to create barrels, as these barrels will be used for my floor. I also created a small area for villagers when I get them to put in my base. In day 31, I made it my task to create a nether portal and finally go to the nether. Then, for day 32, I spent the entire time mining quartz, as that's the best way to get XP early game. And another plus side to mining quartz is that it's one of my favourite blocks because you can use it in many builds. So, with this I'll have a lot of quartz. And once I got to level 30, I re-enchanted my pickaxe, and now that I had Unbreaking and Fortune, I could mine quartz even quicker. Then I did the exact same thing on day 33, where I went into the nether, got loads of quartz, leveled up, and came back to the overworld to do some enchanting. And this time I got Fortune 3, which meant that I could finally mine all the diamond veins, and get full diamond armor. Afterwards, I went back into the nether to get more levels, and after that, I was able to enchant my sword with Unbreaking 3, and when enchanting my chestplate, I ended up getting an almost max piece, it just needed mending. Then in day 34, I did the exact same thing, and this time I enchanted my leggings, and I got Unbreaking 3 and Protection 3. Then in day 35, I was able to enchant my helmet with Respiration 3, and my boots with Depth Strider 2, Protection 3, and Unbreaking 3. On day 35, I spent my time looking for a nether fortress so that I could get some blaze rods. And I actually found it by accident, as when I was trying to run away from some mobs, I dug into a cave, and eventually I heard some blazes. So I dug down and I went straight into the fortress. And I left the F3 menu up so that I knew where to go next time I come back to the fortress. Then in day 36, I located the spawner and spent the entire time killing blazes. And I also collected some nether wart because you need both blaze powder and nether warts to brew potions. In day 37, I brewed some splash weakness potions, as well as getting a golden apple. On day 38, I set out to find a village, and that's why I took the potion and the golden apple, because if I was to find a village, I could cure a villager and get even cheaper trades. However, in this day, I did not find a village. Then at the start of day 39, I came across a massive extreme hills, so I decided to climb it so I could have a better sky view of the area and hopefully find a village. And that's exactly what happened. As I was climbing up the extreme hills, I saw a village. Then as soon as I saw the village, I ran over to it and just borrowed a villager. Then while transporting the villager back to my base, I remembered that I have a lot of barrels there, so I decided to set up the trades on a nearby island. However, this didn't go to plan, as soon as the villager was zombified and I started a healing process, a creeper exploded, letting it run around, and what ended up happening is this zombie villager died. So in day 40 I went back to the village to borrow another villager. Then when night came, I cured the villager, and this time I made sure that there were no creepers nearby. And by the time it was cured, the next day had begun. In day 41 I cycled through the trades until I got a mending book. And eventually, when I did get this mending book, I transported this villager back to my base. And now the villager can live in its very spacious forever home. Next, I applied as many mending books as I could to all my armor and tools. This way, when they go low on durability, rather than having to create a new one, I can just mend them up by getting more XP levels. Which is exactly what I did in day 42, where I spent the entire time in the Nether healing up my armor and tools. In day 43, I decided to start work on my main base. To do this, I created the structures for the different trees I'm going to be building using netherrack. Then in day 44, using my max diamond axe, I was able to cut down a load more trees, which will allow me to build my tree in the next few days. In day 45, I used the wood that I mined just before to create the trunk of the first tree. In day 46, I spent the entire time collecting leaves. In day 47, I needed some more coal so that I could make torches to light up my base. So I went back into my mine and just went mining for coal this time. And after a long while of mining, I got quite a bit of coal. In day 48, as I was leaving my main part of my base, there was a zombie siege as so many zombies started spawning in. And once I'd cleared all the zombies, it was time to continue working on the first tree. So using some netherrack, I made a stairway going up to the top of the tree so that I could start work on the leaves. So in day 49 to 51, I spent the entire time placing leaves around this first tree. I tried to leaf some air gaps inside these leaves to make them feel a bit more realistic, as well as to look less clustered. In day 52, I spent some time mining some spruce wood, and then looking for a dark oak biome. When I eventually did find a dark oak biome, I mined a load of dark oak too. In day 53, I made the first of 4 platforms, as each tree will have 1 platform, as these platforms will make up my base. Then in day 54, I spent the entire time healing up my tools again by going back in the Nether. In day 55, I spent my time collecting leaves and logs so that I could build the second tree. In day 56, I added the logs on top of the netherrack to create the trunk of the second tree. In day 57, I started out by building a stairway using netherrack to get up to where I was going to build the leaves. And this time with the leaves, unlike in the first tree, I'm going to have it separated on 2 different levels, so it looks less like a ball of leaves on top of wood. On the right side of the leaves though, I did have a small platform embedded into the tree, and I had leaves going back on top of this platform. In day 61, I went back to the first tree to try and improve the way the leaves look, as it did just look like a ball of leaves. In the first part of day 62, I went mining for some extra logs, and with these extra logs, I was able to complete the trunk of the third tree. Then in day 63, I added the leaves onto the third tree. However, this also took the whole of day 64. And finally, in day 65, I added a platform into the third tree. However, this time, there was no roof and it was a much larger platform. This is because this platform will connect to all the others. So, in day 66, I created a stairway going up to the first tree. I used a mixture of spruce slabs, spruce trapdoors, and oak trapdoors. I also had a few lanterns for some light. For day 67, I made a roof for the main house using oak trapdoors. Then after that, I created the outline for the path where I wanted to connect the main tree to the tree above the wheat fields. In day 68, I slightly altered the pattern of which I was going to have the bridge at. I liked the way that the bridge was looking, however I wanted it to look like it was being affected by gravity, so rather than have it at a flat line, I have it so that it was curved. Then I swapped out all the netherrack for spruce slabs. In day 69, I texturized the pathway, adding spruce and oak trapdoors. Then in day 70, after collecting a bit more spruce wood, I was able to add some pillars supporting up this bridge, as well as adding a few lanterns for some light. In day 71, I went back into the nether to fix up my tools and armor. In day 72, I spent my first part of the day adding the logs to the netherrack on the 4th tree. And then during the night, I collected some more leaves so that I could actually add the leaves for this 4th tree. In day 73 to day 74, I added the leaves to the 4th and final tree, and I made these leaves in a formation just like I did on the 2nd tree, where the leaves were separated and on 2 different levels. In day 75, I started out by building the platform for the 4th tree. However, I didn't have enough materials, so I spent the rest of the day mining some spruce and dark oak logs. On day 76, I finished off the platform on the 4th tree. And in day 77 to day 78, I made a pathway going from the 4th tree to the 1st tree, as well as a small path connecting the 4th tree to the 3rd tree. In day 79, I added the pillars supporting the bridge. In day 81, I decided to neaten up the lake and areas around the lake. This meant adding some sand, as well as removing some dirt and replacing it with sand, and also neatening up some of the leaves too. Then in 81, I neatened up some of the land nearby the lake. Then after that, I went into the swamp biome near the village and gathered a load of lily pads, as I wanted to add some lily pads to my lake. Then once I returned to my base, I added the lily pads in a formation that allowed me to walk across them so that I could cross the lake without having to be on the trees. I also bone mealed and added kelp to the entire lake to make it feel more alive. In day 82, I added some of the useful parts to a base. For example, my storage system in tree number 1, and a melon patch in tree 4. In day 83, I spent my time moving my storage from my starter base over to my tree base. So, now with my entire base completed, I wanted to go for the wither. However, before I could do that, I needed a max enchanted diamond sword with smite and looting to make it much easier. So that's what I'm going to be doing for the next few days. And so, by the end of day 85, I was able to accumulate over 40 levels just by mining some quartz. Then in day 86, I used some of these levels to add some more enchantments to a diamond sword. However, if I wanted to add even more enchantments, I was going to need a few more diamond swords. So I spent the rest of day 86 mining for diamonds. Then in day 87, I was finally able to get a looting 3 diamond sword. And for the rest of day 87, I had to spend my time getting even more XP so that I could combine all the swords to create the most overpowered sword. In day 88, I finally started to try and get some wither skulls, and I even got one within the first 5 minutes of the day. However, I did not get any for the rest of the day. And I also realised that running back and forth through the tunnel I've created to unload and reload the chunks so that new mobs could spawn was rather inefficient. So in day 89, I created the path to be much bigger and added some ice in so that I could use an ice boat so that I could go really fast away and really fast back to unload and reload the chunks so that I could get new mobs even quicker. In day 90, I used this technique to try and kill as many wither skeletons as I could. However, I did not get a skull in this day. In day 92, just to make it a bit easier and less likely for me to die, I decided to fill in the gaps in between each of the bridges in the Nether fortress. And while neatening out this area so that it's more flat and safe, I was able to get 2 more wither skulls. And in day 92, it was finally time to fight the wither. And because this was my first time ever fighting the wither in Minecraft Java, I decided to fight it underground as that's much easier to do. However, I wasn't expecting it to be as easy as it was. It didn't really feel like it was properly hardcore. It felt more like I was fighting a more powerful zombie. It was quite easy. So even though I now had a nether star, I wanted to go out and fight another wither. However, this time above ground. So that's what I'm going to be preparing for the next few days. In day 93, I spent my time killing wither skeletons, and I even was able to get 1 more skull. Then for the next few days, I continued to try and get more skulls. However, not in day 94, 95, 96, or 97 did I get a single skull. And in day 98, I also did not get a skull. However, I did now have enough XP levels to enchant something again. So I decided to enchant a bow, and I got quite a few good enchants. And finally, in day 99, I got the final 2 skulls I needed to spawn in the Wither. And finally, day 100. It was now time to fight the Wither. And I needed to make sure to venture far beyond my base, just because I don't want a destroyed base. And then I spawned in the Wither. And so the Wither fight begins. To start off with, I tried using some melee combat using my sword to deal a bit of damage. And after that I realised it wasn't very effective at the moment, because the Wither was keep on shooting me and I was going to die. So I started to run around trying to escape the Wither so that I could bow it down. My first attempt at trying to bow down the Wither included me trying to climb a mountain. However, that didn't work, so next up I tried to hide into the forest. And while running around the forest, I found a small little hole for me to hide in and to heal up. However, this didn't work for too long, as the Wither found a way to break into this hole and exposed it. Thus, I had to move. Then, while running away from this Wither, I found another cave, so I jumped in. And this time, I could shoot it without having to leave the cave. So I continued shooting the Wither with my almost maxed out bow till it got down to half health. Then, I killed the Wither using my maxed out sword. And now the 100 days of Minecraft Hardcore has ended. And I've ended with 2 fancy lampshades. So, thank you so much for watching to the end of this video. Don't forget to like that smash button as well as subscribing. And comment down below if you found the hidden image somewhere in this video. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye!